Good morning.
Today we're here to announce our Immigrant Day in Albany 2012. As you know, next Wednesday will be our annual Immigrants Day in Albany. We have been doing that for 15 years. I forgot to introduce myself. Sorry about that. My name is Chang-Hwa Hong. I'm the Executive Director of the New York Immigration Coalition. And I got so excited about our mobilization, I just jumped right to it. So we have been organizing Albany Days for 15 years, way back when immigrant communities weren't as big and as vocal. And so I am really excited and thrilled to announce that we will have over 1,200 people converging in Albany, in our state's capital, to make our voices heard. And immigrants will be coming from all parts of the state, not only in New York City, but Long Island, Albany, Syracuse, Hudson Valley, everywhere. So Albany, here we come. Immigrants are growing in number, and we're growing in our economic power, and we're growing in our political power. And we are diverse, but we're united in standing for our justice and opportunity agenda. And that is what's going to be unveiled today, our top 10 immigrant communities, justice and opportunity agenda. This agenda is officially adopted by our board of directors every year and endorsed by over 60 organizations participating in the day. We'll also have a cultural program this time, and that includes showing of a movie, A Better Life, where the actor was nominated for the best actor for Academies. Now, I want to put this year's Albany Day a little bit in context. Last year, when the Governor Cuomo's administration came into Albany, we also had an Albany agenda. We have built amazing momentum for immigrant rights in New York State. We have got the governor and the state legislature to pass a statewide language access policy last year. We had them stand against a really bad anti-immigrant program called Secure Communities. So we have those two victories to build on, and this year we have a very robust, very exciting agenda for Albany lawmakers and the governor. And so our speakers who are going to come speak after me are going to go through our top 10 agenda, which we think will bring more justice and opportunity to everyone in New York State. So I'd like to begin by introducing Leticia Alanis, Executive Director of La Union, one of our leading education reform and immigrant rights organizations in New York. So Leticia?
Good afternoon. My name is Leticia Alanis, and I'm the Executive Director of the organization La Union, mostly Latino organization in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Leticia Alanis de la organización La Unión en Sunset Park, Brooklyn. We know that for communities, education and really access to higher education is the key out of poverty and towards a better life in this country. That's why La Unión and other organizations, immigrant organizations, have made education the #1 priority. Entonces, la educación para nuestras comunidades inmigrantes es un aspecto clave que nos lleva fuera de la pobreza y hacia una vida mejor para nosotros, nuestras familias y nuestras comunidades. Y por esa razón, nosotros vamos a Albany porque desafortunadamente todavía necesitamos abrir mucho más oportunidades para que los jóvenes se gradúen con un diploma de Regents y también para que los estudiantes que están aprendiendo inglés tengan la oportunidad de graduarse exitosamente e ir a la universidad. So really what we want is that more immigrant students graduate with a New York High School diploma, and also more funding for adult literacy education. We are calling into Albany to restore the $6.9 million for adult education, and this is really the key so that our communities, our people can really have access to better jobs and a better future for communities. Another key aspect of reform in education, of justice in education, is recognizing parents as the key to student success and supporting really parents in navigating the school system, in ensuring that the children get the best services and that they graduate successfully. Entonces, otro de los aspectos que también vamos a abogar a Albany es que realmente el Estado reconozca el rol de los padres en asegurarse que sus hijos estén listos para la universidad y que así pues, nuestras comunidades tengan un mejor futuro. Entonces, the New York Immigration Coalition, and we are part of that, has excellent programming that incorporates parents as key stakeholders and that really offers parents a range of services and supports so that the children can succeed, and we want to expand that model. Entonces tenemos un modelo bien exitoso en la Coalición de Inmigrantes de Nueva York, del cual mi organización es parte, por el cual ofrecemos un apoyo muy importante a los padres para que ellos se preparen y sus hijos estén preparados para ir a la universidad en todos los aspectos. Entonces queremos que ese modelo que hemos iniciado aquí en la ciudad de Nueva York se expanda por todo el estado. Muchas gracias.
Great, thank you, Leticia. And now we have a speaker that's going to talk about one of our top priorities this year, which is New York State DREAM Act. So we have Yake Ramos talking about the DREAM Act.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yelki Ramos, and I'm a senior at Baruch College, pursuing a bachelor's in public affairs with a minor concentration in journalism and real estate. I immigrated from the Dominican Republic at the age of 13 to reunite with my family here in the United States. Entering as a sophomore in New York City High School, I was uncertain I was going to be able to successfully graduate from high school when I didn't speak a word of English. 2 years later, as the valedictorian of my graduating class, I was then uncertain I was going to be able to afford college education. Currently, I volunteer and intern in the New York Immigration Coalition's education program, helping immigrant parents engage in their children's education. I enjoy volunteering and using my skills to help New York communities, and I like to keep doing this. For myself and students like me, New York State DREAM legislation is one important thing that will benefit my dream of continuing my education. It's very important that our legislators support young people like me because we're here to make a difference for New York City and the state of New York. That's why we're going to Albany next week, to keep the pressure up. By investing in people like me, you're investing in the future of New York. Thank you.
Thank you so much. She does have to go to her classes soon, so if you're interested in interviewing her, just let one of our staff know so we can arrange for that. So everybody wants to support students like Yaki, and so all the organizations have been very active in supporting that, but in particular, Minkwon Center for Community Action has been on the forefront of the National DREAM campaign. So S.J. Jung, the president of Minkwon Center, is here also to speak on the DREAM Act.
Thank you, Jung-Wang. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining this press conference. My name is S.J. Jung. I am the president of Minkwon Center for Community Action, based in Flushing, New York, and we are a proud member of the New York Immigration Coalition. So next Tuesday, over 1,000 of us will board buses at the crack of dawn and head up to Albany. So why are we doing this? First of all, we want to make sure that the voice of our community heard up in Albany, and we also want to deliver a message of justice and fairness. We also want to make sure that we keep our state on the right track to the economic recovery and government reforms. So next Tuesday, we're going to present our top 10 budget and policy priorities, from the New York State DREAM Act to critical government services and programs to quality educations. Our top 10 policy priorities will not only support the immigrant community, but they also accelerate the economic recovery in our state. The New York State DREAM Act is a good example. By passing the New York State DREAM Act, we are investing in our students. That means we are investing in the future of our state. And this is all the more important because, as you know, in the absence of the federal action to fix our broken immigration system, many states like Arizona, Alabama, and Georgia have passed incredibly anti-immigrant legislations. And you know what? Their economies are paying the price. Yes, their economies are paying the price. So I think our state should carve out a different path on the immigration issues. We should develop and implement common sense solutions that are good for our economy, good for our state, good for our nation. And in closing, let me very briefly mention our budget issues. As we all know, our state is still recovering from the Great Recession, and our government is facing budget crunch. But let me emphasize that our government should not try to get through these difficult times only by cutting the critical services for most vulnerable New Yorkers, including immigrant New Yorkers and low-income families, middle-income families, and youth and seniors. Our top priorities should be protecting the low-income families, strengthening the middle-income families, and also creating jobs. And in order to do that, we strongly believe that we need to address income inequality. Keep in mind that New York State has a dubious honor of having the most polarized income gap in our nation. So we need to advance economic justice in our state. And advancing the economic justice will get us on the shorter road to the economic recovery, and that will provide us with strong foundation for lasting prosperity. So next Wednesday, we'll gather together up in Albany, and our voices will ring out of Albany, and our voices of justice and fairness will ring across our nation. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Next, we have Vladimir Epstein, President of the Russian American Voters Educational League. And I should mention that every one of the speakers here are co-chairs of our Albany Day, which means they have made a leadership level commitment to mobilize significant number of their community members so that we do have this diverse constituency. So Vladimir?
Hello everybody. As you understand, I represent the Russian-speaking community. And Russian-speaking Americans are proud to be an active part of indivisible immigrant community of New York. In Albany, the Russian voice multiplied by voices from different representatives of different communities will fight for implementing of our dreams and common goals in different fields. I mean in education, in job opportunities, preservation of affordable housing program for senior citizens, and equal rights in education. And we welcome the creation, the Office of You Americans, announced by Governor Cuomo, and strongly agree with the governor to maintain necessary funds to function different services very important for thousands of immigrants and in citizenship and refugee programs. And what is the most important? We understand that only together we represent real power. And we thank the Immigration Coalition for bringing us together and making our common voice to be heard on all levels of government. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Vladimir. Now I'd like to introduce Elsie Axelian from Haitian Americans United for Progress, who has been the leading organization making sure that Haitians are there in the front of the bus and visible and have their voices heard. So Elsie, another co-chair for Albany Day, thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Elsie Axelian. I'm the Executive Director of the Haitian Americans United for Progress and a board member of the New York Immigration Coalition. In years, more than almost a decade, we've been supporting and going and been actively a part of the noise and the speaking and the making the voices heard and making ensuring that immigrants get equal opportunities and access not only to services, but that children are protected, our families are united in services, and we are part of the growing community as we do every day, even making sure that we are an integral part of the economic power and the resources of the city and the state. So it is important that everybody understands that going, even for those people who don't go with us, that it's important that if you're not able to go, to get somebody who is able to go and support. It is only through making our voices heard, not as one community, as a coalition of community, as the NYC has done so well in rallying us together, that we are able to make those kind of impact. We are able to collect the kind of victories we've been able to do the past few years. We want to keep the momentum going in ensuring that the voices of immigration are heard, the priorities that are important to our communities, from education to young people, adult education, parenting, health access, language access, issues that are important to make sure our communities, our families are remaining strong and viable and continue to contribute to the economy. So we are happy to be part of this, and we've got commitment to the NYC and to the immigrant community as a whole is strong, and we want to be able to speak in one voice so that way the elected officials, I mean, we are grateful for the support we're getting from them, but it's important as the election is coming up, as the colors of politics are changing, the views, the values of our nation is changing, that it is important that immigrants and the immigrant community remain at the forefront of the dialogues, so we make sure that we are continuing to be protected, not for who's in office now, but to implement strong policies that will be able to survive governments and governments. Thank you for the support that the community continues to give us, even people outside our immigration communities, because it is important that we do this type of work to continue to protect our families. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We also have our next speaker is Linda Sarsour from the Arab American Association of New York, and she'll tell us about some of the deportation and public safety related issues that New York State has to address.
Thank you, Chungwa. My name is Linda Sarsour. I'm the Executive Director at the Arab American Association of New York, and we're also honored to be joining the New York Immigration Coalition next Wednesday. The New York City looks like us up here, and Capitol Hill needs to look like us, and Capitol Hill needs to see more people from the immigrant communities on Capitol Hill. And what we want to say is that our issues that affect the Arab American community are the same issues that affect the Chinese community, the Latino community, the Caribbean community, the Russian community, communities across New York City. Our community has two priority issues when we go to the Hill, and that's why the New York Immigration Coalition allows us to have these 10 priority issues so communities can see where they fit in and what they think is important to them. Our two issues are public safety, law enforcement accountability. Not only do we not want local law enforcement to marry their work with federal immigration enforcement, we also think that the local and state law enforcement needs to have an accountability mechanism. Who watches the NYPD while the NYPD watches and terrorizes our communities? So that's an important message that we will be bringing to our state legislators when we see them next Wednesday. Also, not only is our power going to be on Wednesday, but it's going to continue throughout the year and into 2013 when we and the Arab and Muslim communities in New York City will be registering at least 10,000 voters across the 5 boroughs, because we are a political power, but we haven't flexed our political power. So we will hope that you will see all of our organizations up here in partnership to register new American voters across the city of New York to ensure that in 2013, our next mayor represents the values, the principles, and the issues that we care about. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to introduce a member of 32BJ SEIU. Unions are going to be a big participant, a big force in our Albany Day. Fadila Markulik is here from 32BJ.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to be here. My name is Fadila Markulik, and I am a member of Service Employee International Union 32BJ. 32BJ members come from 64 different countries, and we speak 28 different languages. And we represent workers across the East Coast. Our members who include commercial workers, cleaners, security officers, buildings engineers, window washers, food service workers, custodians, and maintenance workers who keep building an institution running throughout the state. It is on behalf of our members, in recognition of important contribution they make to New York economy and community, that I am here today. I support a policy to protect immigrants workers by raising state minimum wage and passing farm workers protection legislation. The minimum wage should be raised to $10 per hour by 12/14. And the index to account inflation, which also helped create 25,000 jobs and help 1.6 million low-wage workers statewide who are disappropriately immigrants. Furthermore, New York should pass the Farm Workers Fair Labor Practice Act, which extends farm workers' fundamental rights available to other New York workers such as collective bargaining, union organization, overtime pay, day of rest, and temporary disability coverage. As a mother of four, I immigrated here 40 years ago from Bosnia, and I am also Muslim, and I came here with my family for a better future, for a better life for my family. And also, with the help of my union, I was able to raise my 4 children and send them to the school. And I teach my kids, if you work hard and you believe in yourself, you could do just about anything. There is nothing stopping you. And what really hurts me if a student, bright, want to be somebody, accomplish something in a life, and a lack of papers or lack of money, funding, that they cannot do it. That is so painful. That is so shame. This is America. This is land of free, and this is anybody who had a dream should be able to accomplish. And that's why I support policy before you today. Passing Dream Act is very important to us all, to our young generation. This is a young people who's going to lead this great nation one day. That's going to be in their hands. So it's kind of so sad. Well, you don't have a paper, you cannot go to college, you don't have a funding. That should not be an issue. And we should pass this Dream Act, and it is very necessary to achieve their dreams. We at the union understand importance investing in talented students. That's why my union believes that we must work to create really opportunity for all students, documented and undocumented, to attend college in order to offer them really hope for their future. That's why my union believes we must work to create really change, to keep the hope alive. And for those students who attend college and they have a great future. And thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very inspiring. I'm going to call up Dmitry Galinsky now from Russian-speaking Community Council of Manhattan and the Bronx.
Hi, folks. I'm very happy to greet you on behalf of one of the youngest and the newest organizations in the Immigration Coalition. Russian-speaking Community Council of Manhattan and the Bronx was born last year, and it reflects the growth of Russian-speaking community, that is immigrants from 15 former Soviet states that speak in Russian, their growth in Manhattan over the past years. This is a community that supports, our organization supports and stands with the Immigration Coalition on its policy priorities, and of course, most of all on the DREAM Act, which we think is humane, is efficient, is very important for the U.S. economy, for the New York State economy, and that would be an act of justice for young people coming to this country, admiring this country, studying here, and sort of later representing it to the rest of the world. Now, a couple of words about the Russian-speaking community. It is I would say, in the most exciting phase I have seen over the past 2 decades of non-profit work. It has a growing civil and human rights activism across borders, and one reflection of it is the emergence of a new organization, American Russian-Speaking Association for Civil and Human Rights, in which we have been involved, and that has a presence in 14 U.S. states and District of Columbia. I'd be happy if anyone is interested to talk more about this. And again, we support here the Immigration Coalition and its Day of Immigrant Action in Albany, which has become, I think, a very important institution in our public life over the past decade and a half, and certainly a very important one for the Russian-speaking community. The Russian-speaking community, especially that part of it that grows in recent decades, faces its own issues and that are also common to many other immigrant groups. The issue of employment, especially for highly skilled, highly qualified professionals that came from the former Soviet Union and that face special obstacles. The issue of addressing prejudices and misperceptions about the community, which is very important for us. And we are grateful to our partners in the immigrant movement for solidarity and with also our concerns in public life that we are going to develop with the Immigration Coalition and other partners. Thank you, and thank you for supporting us and coming with us to all.
Thank you so much. And our final speaker is May Chen, President of the New York State Immigrant Action Fund.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really excited to be here on behalf of the New York State Immigrant Action Fund. We are a 501c4, a nonprofit organization, but we're engaged specifically in doing political advocacy and lobbying. So it's very natural and wonderful for us to participate on March 14th in the Albany Day. And for us, it really is a lobby day. Across New York State, more and more of the immigrant populations not only are growing, but many of us have become American citizens, and we have the right to vote. The coalition and all the member groups have done an amazing job of registering voters and encouraging civic participation. And so we're prepared as a 501c4 group to take it the next logical step, which is to talk to our elected officials and lobby them hard for the whole program of 10 points. And you've heard a good explanation of the broad social service, education, housing, and the criminal justice and other issues in our agenda. But this year, we really have a very unique opportunity to focus on the passage of DREAM legislation in New York State to open up financial aid opportunities to immigrant students because of the lack of papers, don't have equal access to the financial aid that other promising and talented students have. So you've heard a lot about this issue. We are going to be going to the leadership of the Senate and Assembly in Albany, and we have a very active social media presence with our website. We really believe that not only the immigrant communities and our citizens and the growing numbers, but New Yorkers across the state need to support these issues of equity and extend a welcoming hand to the immigrants who are contributing and working side by side with New Yorkers and really working together to build the state. So it's a day of lobbying. I would also encourage that going into the election cycle of 2012 as well as 2013, that we really encourage our supporters to be active, to make sure they get out to vote, that they get their family members and all the new citizens to register, and that we make our presence seen and felt on March 14th, as well as in the fall elections, and going into next year where we have very important city elections.
Thank you so much. So we have the people power, we have the voting power, and we're going to come to Albany. So please help us advertise and publicize Albany Day in all the communities that the members of the media have access to. So thank you so much. That concludes the press conference. And if you have any questions, we can either answer them now or do separate interviews. Any questions? Yes?
Because it's a day of action, what is exactly that you're going to do in Albany? Is this a protest?
Yeah, so we have, everybody will arrive early in the morning, and then we'll have a morning program where all the coalitions from different parts of the state are going to be welcoming their own people from all over the state. And then we will march to SUNY, to State University of New York, and have a big rally there. And it's not a protest per se, because some of the main institutions like SUNY have come on board supporting the New York State DREAM Act. So it's really a show of power to show our numbers and the kind of broad support there is. So after a very kind of, a very lively march and a rally, which is also a press conference, we will then fan out and meet with over 40, about 70 elected officials and government officials. So we will have coverage. So everybody will hear from us. This really is the biggest diverse gathering of immigrant communities leadership that we're going to show to all the legislators and the governor's office. those are the actions. Anything else? All right, well, thank you so much for coming.